The NFL season is back. Are you ready? I'm ready. 7-7 Talk Sports. We're here. Let's go. What's up, everybody? This is Derico Gaither, and welcome to episode 1 of 7-7 Talk Sports. I'm flying solo here tonight, which is okay, but we're here to talk a little bit about the NFL season and also what to look for, the interesting matchups that I'm really looking forward to here in week 1 of the NFL season. And we'll also talk about the standout game of this weekend of college football. So let's jump right on into this. So for you who don't know, first off, let me say thank you for supporting the channel, and let me welcome you to supporting this channel. Hey, like I said, like, subscribe, support, tell your friends about it, hit me up, and we can also debate. We can talk all topic sports. So I love football. Football is my game. I love it. I've loved it ever since I was a little boy. So that's just a little bit about me. Also, don't forget, I have my other page, 7-7 Talk. Hey, well, we cover it all. So y'all come holler at me. So let's jump right on into this thing. So let's start with college. The marquee matchup of week 2 of the college football season features Texas on the road against the defending champion Michigan Wolverines in the Big House. Now, I think that's really going to be an interesting game this week because you have Texas, while they're in their first year of SEC play, along with Oklahoma, since they left the Big 12. They're going up against the defending champion Michigan Wolverines, which isn't the same Michigan Wolverine football team from last year. We know Michigan lost a lot of players to the draft and whatnot, and they also lost their head coach Jim Harbaugh, who's now the new head coach out there for the LA Chargers in LA in the NFL. But Michigan is an interesting ball club because, they're still the defending champions, so you have to show respect where respect is due. But I like Texas in this ball game. I think Steve Sarkisian is going to have his guys ready to play. I think Quinn Ewers, the quarterback for Texas, is going to make enough plays to do what he needs to do to get this team over the hump. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. Now, I think it's going to be a smash mouth football game. I don't really think it's going to be an up and down the field type game because if you know anything about Michigan, Michigan wants to control the line of scrimmage and they want to run the football. And they should want to run the football because they got a great running back. So, but with Texas, I believe Texas is going to want to spread you out a little bit, and Sarkisian is going to want to get some open matchups out there. So again, I think it's going to be a defensive slugfest. I really like Texas on the road in a early season matchup, something that's going to be a whole lot more competitive than what we saw last week with that dud of a Georgia and Clemson ball game. And so I like Texas on the road to pull off I don't really want to call it an upset, but I just really like Texas to go into the Big House and do what they need to do. What's another marquee game this weekend for college? I don't really think it's many marquee games this weekend because, like I said, this is week 2 of the college football season. Yes, this is week 2 because when Georgia Tech and Florida State played each other in Dublin, Ireland, that was considered week 0. So the games of this past Labor Day weekend, that was actually week 1. So yes, this is week 2 of the college football season. So wanting to circle back a little bit about bringing up Georgia Tech. Shout out to Georgia Tech in a big win that they had over Florida State in Ireland. If you watched the ball game, you saw that Georgia Tech really dominated the ball game with time of possession, and they won it in the trenches. They definitely won it in the trenches. Their quarterback played well, and they did what they needed to do, specifically on third down, late in the ball game, to take control of the ball game. But I want to put a little bit of focus on Florida State. What is going on with Mike Norvell's program at Florida State? Because remember last year, Florida State was the darlings of college football last year. They went undefeated. The quarterback got hurt. They lost a lot of players, either to graduation, to the NFL draft. And I understand that you have to rebuild. But it seems to me that Mike Norvell's true colors are being shown here this year with this Florida State team. Because remember now, yeah, he went 13-0. He had a great regular season last year. It was a great argument, and I was one who felt that Florida State should have made the college football playoff over Washington. I really felt that they should have made that. And the reason why that they were left out of the college football playoff was because, well, their starting quarterback got hurt. Okay, injuries happen, but they still should have been in the college football playoff. But then they go into their bowl game and they get mollywopped by Georgia 63-3. And it's like that program has not recovered from such an atrocious beating that they got at the hands of Georgia. And so when I look at their quarterback, DJU, I'm going to just say it that way, DJU, he doesn't have any confidence. When you watch DJ, he is still doing the same things that he was doing while as a starting quarterback at Clemson. And he transferred from Clemson, and then he goes to Oregon State. He played great in Oregon State. And then he decides he wants to transfer back to the ACC. And we're seeing the true DJU here through the first two games because, Florida State offense, they look lost. The offensive line, they cannot pass protect. They don't have any playmakers out there, wide receiver. Guys cannot get open. And DJ holds on to the football way too long. And if you look at the game against Boston College that they played on Monday night, Boston College basically used the same type of game plan that Georgia Tech used against them. They ran the football, they controlled the line of scrimmage, and they dominated in the trenches. And right now, Mike Norvell's in trouble. And I'm going to be honest with you. When you look at the remaining games on their schedule, Florida State is 0-2 right now and 0-2 in conference play. That's what really stands out. You're 0-2 in conference play. And unless Florida State wins 10 straight ball games, which ain't going to happen, it looks like by the time that Florida State and Florida play each other at the end of the year, this is going to be a matchup of the assistant coaches because it seems like neither one of those head coaches are going to be the head coach for that program by the time they meet up at the end of the year. Another thing that's jumping out at me is the University of Florida. What's going on with the University of Florida and Billy Napier? Now, I'm going to tell y'all something right now. Y'all see it. Y'all see it. Y'all see it. War Eagle all day. 1856, I believe in Auburn, War Damn Eagle. But let me say this to you. I am so glad that Auburn did not go after Billy Napier and hire Billy Napier. See, it's different when you're balling out in the Sun Belt Conference. Shout out to all the players in the Sun Belt Conference. But it's a little bit different when you leave from the Sun Belt Conference and you come to big boy football land known as the SEC. Billy Napier is in over his head. He cannot get it done. And yeah, a lot of people are saying, well, maybe you're over exaggerating. They just lost to a better Miami team. No, they just didn't lose to a better Miami team. Cam Ward had them looking very ridiculous. And so it makes you wonder, what is Florida going to do? And when you look at Florida's schedule, my God, they have murderers row. They still have to play Georgia. They still have to play Texas. They still have to play Ole Miss. They still have to play, who else is it? I'm trying to think. Georgia, Florida. No, they're Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, LSU. I'm sorry. They still have to play LSU. So like I said, by the end of the year, when Florida and Florida State play, it may be the matchup of the interim assistant coaches bowl because both programs will be looking for a head coach by the end of this year. So speaking of Auburn, a great job by Auburn on last Saturday. Yeah, I get it. Shout out to a beautiful HBCU and Alabama A&M. But Auburn was able to take care of business very early. And let me tell y'all something. I am a realistic Auburn football fan. Now, am I a fan of Peyton Thorne? Not necessarily. But Peyton Thorne looks a whole lot better than he did. He looks more comfortable in year 2 under Hugh Freeze's offense. Now, it also helped when you got that monster man-child by the name of Cam Coleman to throw the football to. And I like KJ Lambert-Smith, right? So Auburn's got some weapons on the offensive side. Now this week, my beloved Tigers take on Cal. I stayed up last year and watched that ball game, and it was murderer's row really trying to watch it, especially since I live here in the Southeast. But it was tough watching it. But Auburn was able to pull it out last year, 14-10 in Cal, in a game that was ugly offensively for both teams. Peyton Thorne finished the game last year with under 100 yards throwing the football, but Auburn was able to make plays down the stretch, and they was able to get out of there with a 14-10 win. Now, I expect more points for Auburn this year. I'm really intrigued by what Cal's defense will do because they are pretty much returning the same defensive unit. And so, when you return those same players, or at least the majority of those same players, you got that continuity on there. And now, Cal is coming into the jungle down at Jordan-Hare Stadium on Saturday. And it's going to be a big statement game. It's really going to be a big statement game because, I believe if Auburn can get out of here with that and win their couple of the ball games, it's going to set them up for a beautiful showdown on Saturday, September 28th, with a possible unbeaten Oklahoma. So that can be a huge measuring stick for Auburn. And, I'm looking forward to the Tigers doing what they need to do. So that's enough for college football. I want to now switch gears and talk about the NFL season. So NFL football is back. It's been too long. It's definitely back. And, you got some great games happening this weekend, but the biggest game to me this weekend that stands out is going to happen tomorrow night on NBC. And that's when you have the two-time defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Baltimore Ravens. And you have Patrick Mahomes going up against Lamar Jackson. Now, Patrick Mahomes has already won. He's already won 3 Super Bowls already, right? I want people to think about that. Patrick Mahomes has already won 3 Super Bowl rings already, and he's going for a three-peat. People really need to understand that. This man is going for a three-peat, right? So when you look at that, that's unprecedented. The last team that I can remember going for a three-peat was the 1990 San Francisco 49ers, who lost to the New York Giants in the NFC Championship game 15-13. And for y'all that are young enough as myself to remember that was the game when Leonard Marshall took out Joe Montana with a monstrous hit. And that, all but ended Joe Montana's career as a San Francisco 49er because, the very next year, Steve Young took over and Montana was out injured and whatnot. So, but Kansas City really has the opportunity to do something that we've never seen in this modern era of football. I'm not talking about back in the day when the championship games you were considered the champion. I'm talking about in the Super Bowl era. We've never seen a team win 3 straight Super Bowl championships. Now, we've seen a team go to the Super Bowl 4 straight years, and they caught 4 straight L's, and that was the Buffalo Bills. But I like Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes he's a great quarterback. He's already in the GOAT conversation. If he wins this 3rd Super Bowl, you would have to say that Patrick Mahomes could possibly be the GOAT. And I know, we still got Brady out there. I understand. Shout out to Tom Brady. You still got all the greats. But Tom Brady, yeah, he won back-to-back, but Tom Brady never three-peated. Joe Montana never three-peated, right? So you're talking about a young man that's only 28 years old and is going for his 3rd straight Super Bowl championship. Now, I want to flip the script a little bit, and I want to talk about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson. I love Lamar Jackson to death. I still remember the first time on the collegiate level when I saw Lamar Jackson play. Believe it or not, it was against Auburn in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. And Auburn was up, if I'm not mistaken, I believe 21 points. And all of a sudden, Bobby Petrino, who was the head coach at Louisville at the time, Bobby Petrino put in a freshman, a true freshman by the name of Lamar Jackson. And Auburn didn't have an answer for him because it was something that they had never seen. So Lamar Jackson almost single-handedly led Louisville back to beat Auburn in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. So I've been a major fan of Lamar Jackson ever since that time. We know Lamar Jackson's accolades. He won the Heisman Trophy while he was in college. He comes to the NFL. You know, he's won 2 NFL MVP awards. If I'm not mistaken, last year, I believe he was unanimously as the MVP last year. But here is the problem when it comes down to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has to show and prove this year that he can win a Super Bowl. Because last year, what was always said, if we get Kansas City at home, if we play the AFC Championship game at home, nobody's going to come into M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore and beat us. And look at what happened. Yeah, now I know some of y'all out there are thinking about the whole Taylor Swift effect. Okay, I get it. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, Lamar Jackson, he's accomplished everything that he needs to accomplish except for winning a Super Bowl. And it has to happen. And also, he can also say what he wants to say, right? The man is entitled to his opinion. He's a great person. He's a great athlete, right? But let me say this. I have a hard time believing that that tomorrow's game is just going to be another regular season game. I have a hard time believing that. And the reason why I say that is because they cannot beat Kansas City. It is something like Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes is Lamar Jackson's kryptonite. Just like the Detroit Pistons was Michael Jordan's kryptonite until finally what? The Bulls banded together and they did what they needed to do and they swept them on up out of there. And then Jordan took over the league. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson's kryptonite. That's why they have to win this game tomorrow. Because let's just say that they lose the game tomorrow and Baltimore go on and do what they need to do. Kansas City go ahead and do what they need to do. Then they meet up again in the playoffs in the AFC Championship game. Where do y'all think that game is going to be played at? It's going to be played in Arrowhead, a place that if you can't beat him at home and he's had the upper hand on you, what makes you think you can go into his place and beat him on the road? So tomorrow, he has to go in there. Lamar has to go in there, and Lamar has to ball out. And Baltimore has to ball out. Their defense has to ball out. And the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens needs to let Lamar be Lamar. Don't try to turn this man into a pocket passer. Tell Lamar, go out there, ball out, put the cape on. You're an MVP. Grab this thing and take our ass home, and let's go ahead and get out here and win this ball game. That's what needs to happen. That is the marquee matchup of the NFL opening weekend. Like I said, yeah, you got some other games that are coming up, but I'm just going to be honest with y'all guys. And I, hey, again, I love Lamar Jackson to death, but tomorrow I have to go with Kansas City because the reason why they're still the defending champions. They've shown us that they can do it, right? And so I need for Baltimore to show and prove. And then here's a question that I want to pose to everybody while we're still on the topic of Baltimore. And I know that this is probably going to get a lot of people fired up at me for asking this question. But here's a question that I have to ask. Is Lamar Jackson the best quarterback in his own division? See, the reason why I asked that question is because Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow has went into Arrowhead and beat Patrick Mahomes. Joe Burrow has went and beat Josh Allen in Buffalo. Joe Burrow has already been to a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson has not. And granted, when you look at it, Joe Burrow, if not hurt, is he the better quarterback? Again, I love Lamar Jackson to death. I think Lamar Jackson is off the charts, crazy great. But is he the best quarterback in his own division? And then when you even think about it, in the Super Bowl, Joe Burrow was a blown assignment away by the guard, getting beat by Aaron Donald. He was a blown assignment away from having a Super Bowl ring already. And we also know that Cincinnati, their offensive line, he hasn't had the greatest protection when it comes down to the offensive line. We can't say the same thing about Lamar. So my question is, when is Lamar going to show, improve, and get it done? I love this man to death. I can't say this. I can't say this. I can say it a million times. I need for everybody to understand this ain't no hate, but we also have to keep this a buck all the way. We need Lamar to get it done. He's running out of time, and there can't be any more excuses. There cannot be. There cannot be. Also, on a downer note, another game this weekend. You got my Dallas Cowboys. Yes, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, so it hasn't, talk about just being down. But you got the Dallas Cowboys going into Cleveland to play the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. The game is going to have a lot of interest in it. Number one, because you got the great Tom Brady, who's going to be making his debut as a commentator for Fox Sports. So it's going to be really interesting to hear his thought process and, how he calls games and whatnot. But for the game that's on the field, you got two different storylines at the quarterback positions for both teams. So let's start with Dallas. Of course, everybody know Dallas is bringing in Dak Prescott. Dak returns for year 9, if I'm not mistaken. And so this is also the final year of Dak's contract. So Dak, if you believe the reports and you hear all the back and forth, Dak is looking for anywhere between $60 to $65 million in this next deal. And of course, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, the owner, the GM, the janitor, the Mr. Everything, Jerry Jones, who is the biggest mouthpiece for his ball club and also the NFL. He hasn't agreed to do an extension yet as we speak here today. He hasn't agreed to do an extension yet for Dak Prescott. Because honestly, I think Jerry wants to see, is it worth paying a quarterback 60 to 65 million? And if the results turn out to be the same as they've been, then Dallas will have a brand new starting quarterback next year. But that's one storyline. Another storyline with Dallas, before I flip over to Cleveland, another storyline with Dallas is it's always the offseason drama when it comes down to the Dallas Cowboys. That's why it's so hard being a Cowboys fan, because you have to deal with the offseason drama. If it ain't Micah Parsons, and Dak family going back and forth through social media, then you got the whole CeeDee Lamb situation that's popping off with Jerry not wanting to pay CeeDee. And then he finally agreed. So now CeeDee done missed all of training camp. He done missed all of the preseason games. So now you're hoping that come Sunday, that when CeeDee get out there in live action, he don't tear a hamstring. So that's another thing. Then you still got the contract situation of Micah Parsons and the aforementioned Dak Prescott that still hasn't been paid yet, right? So with Dallas, I don't really know what to expect this year. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I don't know. And honestly, I'm getting tired of it. As a Cowboys fan, I'm really getting tired of it. And so now we're gonna flip the script and talk about Cleveland. So of course you have, let's start at the quarterback position again. Of course you have Mr. $230 million guaranteed contract, Mr. Deshaun Watson. Now look, when Deshaun was in Houston, Deshaun was that dude. And I still think that Deshaun can be that dude. But yet, off field, don't really want to call them allegations, but off field troubles. Let's just say it that way. Some off field issues and troubles that, that's been reported that everyone knows about. And Deshaun can't stay healthy for some odd reason. So, I've heard some people say that Deshaun is 100% healthy. He's really looking forward to coming into this season and balling out. So let's see. Let's see what he can do. Because again, that's another good quarterback. And if Deshaun plays up to his potential, we're talking about another great quarterback in the aforementioned AFC North, along with Lamar, along with along with my man in Cincinnati. So, along with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. So it's going to be interesting to see how Cleveland is going to take this, and how well they're going to come out the gate, because there was also some offseason chatter between Micah Parsons and David Njoku, the tight end for Cleveland. Njoku feels that Parsons was being disrespectful in some of the things that he was saying. So this game is going to be this game is going to be a measuring stick, I think, for both teams. And for Dallas, you need to get off to a good start. Let's put some of that, politicking and BS behind you. As my grandmother used to say, let's put some of that who shot John behind you, right? Get rid of that. So let's just see how they're going to ball out. So I'm interested because, again, even when you look at Dallas in the backfield alongside Dak, Dallas really doesn't have a running game. They brought back Ezekiel Elliott. Come on now. They let Ezekiel Elliott go for a reason, but then they bring him back. So what are we doing with the running game besides absolutely nothing? So Dak may end up being the best running back as well as quarterback that we have on the roster. So that's my take. I'm looking forward to it. I want y'all just, man, let me know. Hit me up in your comments and whatnot, because I will definitely be checking out the games and everything this weekend. And as I get ready to bring this thing to a close, again, y'all, I just want to say thank you for taking your time to listen to me rant a little bit, and hit me up, man, because I would love to talk football with anybody all day long, and I would love to bring you on the 7-7 Talk Sports. Let's do it. And just a little words of encouragement. Hey, man, look here. For everybody that's listening to my voice, it ain't easy, but you keep putting one foot in front of the other and you keep going after. Keep that grind going on. Hey, much love to y'all. I will definitely holler at y'all again. 7-7 Talk Sports, we gone. Holla at your boy.